Dave Freund, and I'm really excited to be here today with Mehudin Krdzic from Stickley Furniture. Mehudin, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us first about Stickley. I mean, I know what it is, but maybe some of the folks watching it may not. And then just tell us what you do for Stickley. I know you're in HR. How did you get to Stickley Furniture?
Yeah, so Stickley's been around for 100 over 120 years, long time. So we are high-end furniture manufacturer and a retailer and a wholesaler too, because we do have a independent dealers. We currently have about 900 employees. We have 3 manufacturing facilities, one here in Manlius, North Carolina, and one in Vietnam. And we have about 16 retail showrooms, and then independent dealers, which the wholesale side of our business. There's about 150 of those, throughout the country.
Okay.
I came here about 20 years ago. Actually, in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I'll be here 20 years. I'm originally from Bosnia. Came here back in 1999, early 1999. I lived in Bosnia, obviously, during the Bosnian, Civil War. I was 12 when war started. Those are the hardest time of my life. I lost a brother who was 11 when during the war. Our house was burned in early 1992. We lived in the woods during the summer. We built the hut. We lived in the woods.
Wow.
For about 6 months before we moved into my cousin's basement. It was just a small room. 5 of us lived there for a couple of years. No food, no medication, no hospitals. We were completely isolated from the rest of the world. I used to go to school. I used to, walk 3 hours a day to get to school. Not having a proper, clothing, footwear, and this is all during the, in the middle of the war zone. You hear the bullets flying, you hear the rockets flying over your head, but I was so determined. I love school. I always wanted to, push myself and, become something. And maybe a few months, since the war started, that's when I lost my brother. So the life was definitely hard and challenging, during that time. So after the war, we moved to a neighboring country, Croatia. We lived there for a little bit before we moved to America. And the reason we had a couple of choices to either come here or to go to Australia. And I think we were leaning more towards Australia. But then my cousin was here. He came here maybe a year before us.
Okay.
And he was like, come on, you gotta come to Syracuse. The weather is same, like, climate is similar to, Bosnia. You gotta come here. So he convinced us to come here, and here we are. Here I am. And I still remember first day when I came here. Getting out of the apartment complex and just stepping on the side of the street that goes left and right. And I'm like, which way do I go? I'm new to this country. I gotta adjust to the society, the culture. I gotta learn the language. None of us spoke the language. I spoke English. So that was different set of difficulties that I was going through versus obviously during the war.
So
and
how did
go
you
ahead.
how did you get, so you, after the war, you come to the States? First you spend some time in Croatia, then you come to the States. How did you end up at Stickley?
So my dad started here probably it was July of 1999. He started here. And I was working at one of the nursing homes in the food service department for 6 months before he actually asked me to come and work for Stickley. And during that time, I enrolled into OCC. I went to OCC for a couple semesters during my time here, at Stickley. I was working about 16 hours a week, and so yeah, he was the main person who who convinced me to come here, and I'm glad he did. Actually, this is a great company. It's been around a long time, very stable, family owned, and we have 35 different nationalities here. So it's like a
Wow.
small United Nation in here. So it's almost like, you're kind of living in a different country,
Sure.
not in America. So I started working in a factory. I started working, staining tables and chairs, rubbing tables and chairs, inspecting them, um, for about a year, I would say.
Hmm.
And then, during my time, I'm a trilingual. So during my time, we had a number of, Bosnians, number of, Russians, Ukrainians, whose English was the, second language, and, performance reviews. Unfortunately, sometimes, employee issues. So I was used quite a bit to help employees and the managers in terms of a translation, and make sure that we're all on the same page. Um, that was the time I found out that this is something I want to do. This is something that's kind of interests me, and something that I like helping employees. I liked interacting with employees, um, helping him, interpreting the policies, procedures, those kind of things. So that's when I decided, because my first 2 semesters at OCC, I didn't know what I was going for. I was just
Sure.
taking general studies. I was
Yep.
undecided. And then later on, after my second semester at OCC, I switched to Lemoyne, and that's when I decided I think human resources is something I would like to do. Um, and that's something that allows me to interact with employees on a daily basis,
Sure.
interpret policies, write policies. um, so that's how I end up in a human resources, and also working in a factory part-time, with the factory employees. It gave me a chance to see how they feel, other side of that table. How's that versus, the management? And so,
Sure.
it definitely helped me a big deal, transitioning into human resources.
Absolutely. So tell me, for the folks that would be watching this, what is a typical day of an HR manager like?
Yeah, I would like to know that too. Working in human resources, I mean, you have your core ideas and core, the planning that you would like to do on a daily
Sure.
basis, but unfortunately, things happen unexpectedly. Um, so sometimes, I'll be coming to work like, I got to do, interviews, I got to do this, I got to do the training, but then all of a sudden my day just shifts to something else where I have to prioritize and assist employees with, any issues or anything they need. Um, but for the most part, my core responsibilities here at Stickley would be, recruiting, hiring, employee relations is huge, training.
Yep.
Those are the huge, 3 or 4 cores of my, rocks of my job, if you will. I on a daily basis, I make probably 2, 3 laps throughout the factory, where
Okay.
I check with employees. Hey, how's everything going? Um, do you need any help? Those kind of things.
Sure.
Assisting with any questions they may have. As I said, right now we're looking for, to fill about 20, 25 open jobs. So I'm out there talking to employees. I'm making sure they understand. Employee referral. We also offer, employee referral bonus, just kind of engaging them into what we're looking for. But those
Okay.
are the kind of main ideas, main cores of my job.
Very interesting. So what if you had to give like 3 or 4 things, that characteristics of a person that would be really good for a position in human resources, what would it be? What would that person be like?
Well, you gotta be personable. You gotta
Okay.
be outgoing, positive. But at the same time, you need to you need to this job obviously is to interact with employees, but at times we have to make some tough decisions too.
Right.
And that's the probably least part, the part that I like the least about my job. But it is part of my job. But you have to be, you got to be personable, outgoing, have a clear communication, with employees. I think those are the main things that
Okay.
a person would need. And I would definitely, for your audience, I would definitely would like to say, getting a part-time job, it allows you to come into the business and kind of screen and see what's going on. And you could possibly be exposed to different areas. I was exposed to a marketing and IT, some other areas, and it'll make your decision much easier to see, oh, maybe I like this, maybe this is something
Sure.
I would like to do. It would definitely help you in terms of your decision making, as
Okay.
far as what do you want to be or what do you like to do down the road.
Okay. What kind of education would a person need to get a job in human resources?
Yeah, as far as entry-level human resources, like a human resource administrative person, probably associate degree, 2-year, college degree. Anything, generalist, human resources manager and higher, you would definitely need at least a bachelor's
Okay.
degree.
Okay. And what would be a salary range from, let's say, somebody just coming in as an HR admin kind of person up to, let's say, a full-blown HR manager?
Yeah, so admin person would probably range between $15 to $20 an hour. It's a non-exempt position, and once you get into a coordinator and a higher up, it would be exempt salaried position. Somebody like in a human resources manager position, I think for Syracuse area, for this region, I would say it would probably range from low 80s to maybe 130-ish
Okay.
range.
Sure.
Obviously, it will be based on your experience
Sure.
in the field.
Okay, great. How about, since we talked about the fact that you have open positions in your factory right now, even though that wouldn't be a technically part of our call here, what would be the salary range for somebody, let's say somebody's in high school, they want to work with their hands, they're for whatever reason, they're not thinking about college at this point. What could a person make in a factory setting in Syracuse right now?
Yeah, entry level position in a factory would probably range around 1350, to start with the 1350 an hour. And once you get into the more skilled positions, machine operators, forklift operators, CNC operators, these are all positions where it does, require you to have a little bit of experience to, know how to use, tape measure and some other measuring tools. Um, CNC would require you to read the blueprints,
Right.
and some basic computer skills, because you might have to enter the programs into the computer. That's a little higher, so I think the range for those jobs could go between $14 and $16 an hour.
Okay. Okay. Do you does Stickley offer any in-house training programs?
Yes, we do. So we have in-house training. We also have mentors that we would assign person to work with. We have forklift training here on site as well. So there's definitely a lot of different opportunities. And we're also looking to, we're always looking to send our employees to any type of seminars or training outside of Stickley,
Okay.
so they can develop their skills. So definitely,
Good.
there's a training.
So this is a question that I didn't tell you I was going to ask. So I'm throwing you a
Yeah, sure.
curveball right now. What do you like best about working for Stickley in particular?
People, the ownership, the stability of the company. I wouldn't be talking to you today, after being here 20 years, if that's not true.
Yeah.
The Audis, the owners, current owners of the company, who, by the way, they purchased the company back in early 70s, are great people. Great people. They take care of our employees. That's huge, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm here. People that I work with, as I said, 30 different nationalities, 30 or 35 different nationalities. It also gives me an opportunity to learn different cultures.
Yeah.
What's welcomed or what's okay to do in Congo, it may not be okay to do in US, or what's okay to do in Ukraine, it may not be okay. So, teaching them, and make sure they, adjusting to this culture, and at the same time, you're learning their culture. It's very unique.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy it. And another thing I want to throw it in there, job stability, job security. you'll see, especially in the manufacturing, you and I talked earlier, several years ago, most of our manufacturing jobs, disappeared, went overseas.
Right.
We're still here. I mean, we're in need of 20 to 25 more people here. We're growing day by day. I mean, it's that's another thing that I like,
Yeah.
peace of mind and that job security that I can, put in my head and not think about, hey, am I going to lose my job tomorrow?
Right. That's great. So one more question. I see you sitting there. I'm thinking of your story of, growing up during the war, the Civil War, losing your brother at such a young age. That has to be so traumatic. Living in a shelter that you build in the woods. What's your favorite thing about America? You're sitting in front of an American flag.
Freedom.
What's that mean to you?
No conflict, no wars, no, where I'm coming from, unfortunately, every 30, 40 years, there's always something that people come up with and, argue and start fighting. Unfortunately, that's an unfortunate thing. I like my country, where I grew up. It's a good, great country. I know you have some connections to that part of the world as well. But that's, I never really thought about going back and living there because, I don't want to bring my kids there and have them go through the same thing, I went through. But living in America and, being proud to be an American is, the freedom not to get up in the morning or in the middle of the night and hear the, bullets flying and rockets flying and, on the buildings and, and seeing people killed, on the side of the road. And, I just don't want to think about that. And, I think here that helps me not to think about it, and also helps me not to, I don't think I can imagine anything like that happen here in my head. Right. So that's the biggest thing about living in America, the freedom, and also, opportunities, equal opportunities. That's another thing, you can leave your job today and, you'll be okay finding a job, somewhere else, down the street. There's a lot of different opportunities here. And, if you work hard, you'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Awesome. Well, Mehudin, our country is richer because you're here. And you are what makes this country great. It's people like you, people like, my mom and my grandparents and my wife, who also came to this country, that make this the place that it is. So we're really thankful you're here. Thank you so much for giving us so much of your time today. I know, as an HR person, needing people, especially in the COVID environment, you're busier than busy. But thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you soon in the future. Excellent. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate your time as well. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out. Thanks, Mehudin. Thank you. Yeah, bye-bye. Bye-bye.